Yeah, I don't know where I'm going to get my pieces and parts I need. No Radio Shack, no fries.
Welcome to Watch Mojo, and today we're counting down our picks for once popular stores that no longer exist in the US, ranked by scale, history, and brand recognition.
The biggest hits are here, now, guaranteed at Movie Gallery.
Number 75, Media Play.
There's great stuff in this place. I can stay here all day.
With book, movie, music, and video game sections, Media Play was a well-rounded entertainment chain with a selection that once seemed super wide. Founded by Musicland, Media Play stores first started popping up in 1992. Expansion throughout the 90s brought the peak total location count to 72 in 19 different states.
The whole family can come in. Dad can go to either books or music. The kids can come over to the toy department, and Mom can go to books or movies.
But competition only stiffened as the end of the millennium approached, namely from Amazon. Being able to keep up with inventory proved too steep a hill to climb. Places like Best Buy and Walmart didn't help either. Increased advertising and promos weren't enough to save Media Play, and by the mid-2000s, it was toast.
Thank you! I wanted this. I really love it.
Media Play. More choice, less price. Guaranteed.
Number 74, Deb Shops. Founded in 1932 as Joy Hosiery, this company went on to experience many years of success, with notable changes along the way. In the 1970s, following a previous decade of expansion and an increased selection available in their stores, the name was changed to Deb Shops.
The dress actually looks really rich, and it's such an affordable price point. It's $110 at Deb Shops.
There, you could buy women's and girls' clothing and accessories. A lot of people did just that. At its highest point, there were 337 stores in 47 states, many of which could be found at shopping malls. But after the parent company filed for bankruptcy in 2011, and then again in 2014, all Deb Shops were shut down. Number 73, Lerner Shops. 1918 was not only the birth year of renowned lyricist Alan J. Lerner, it was also the year Lerner Shops was born, founded by Harold Lane and 3 Lerner brothers, including Alan's father. The first store opened in New York City, and by 1920, there were over 20 locations. The business only grew from there, reaching nearly 200 stores nationwide by 1950. In the 1960s, Lerner was the largest chain of women's and children's apparel shops in the United States. In the 80s, business kept booming, with over 700 stores across the country. But after ownership changes and rebranding in the 90s and 2000s, the stores faded away. It became New York & Company, now an online-only retailer, no longer carrying the Lerner name. Number 72, Gottschalks.
It's the last big department store one of the first ones that Santa Cruz had, and it's an important one. It's the good place for us to shop.
Once the largest independently owned, publicly traded department store chain in the US, Gottschalks got its start in California in 1904. The company limited competition and cut real estate costs by setting up shop in smaller cities across 6 western states. That strategy fueled its sustained success for decades. In 1986, Gottschalks went public on the New York Stock Exchange under the symbol GOT, marking a new chapter in its history.
It happens only once a year. Extra savings during Big G Days at Gottschalks.
Save 30% on 2-piece soft dressing from Corette for Mrs. Empathy.
The 2000s were when things really got tough. As sales declined and locations closed, the writing was on the wall. Gottschalks was delisted from the NYSE in 2008. Once the company filed for bankruptcy the following year, that was all she wrote.
Don't miss these savings. The fall sale at Gottschalks.
Number 71, Childworld/Children's Palace.
Know why I skate through Childworld? Because there's so much to see. What a selection. Looking for fun gifts for children? I mean children of all ages? You'll find what you're looking for at Childworld.
A toy store that looks like a castle. What's not to love? After Childworld bought Children's Palace from Kobacker Stores in 1975, the castle design became a major part of the company's identity. Technically, Childworld was selling toys well before then. It was founded in 1962. After Cole National Corporation's purchase of the chain in 1981, things started to go downhill.
So play the game, you'll always win. Come to Childworld.
Cash shortages, empty shelves, a lawsuit, and fierce competition from Toys R Us were all signs of a downfall. And by 1992, the chain that once had over 180 locations was down to 0.
It was an unmistakable experience because Childworld, the Children's Palace, literally looked like a palace. It looked like a castle.
Number 70, Casual Corner.
You got that fabulous flair, you got it all at Casual Corner.
This women's clothing store may have opened on April Fool's Day in 1950, but it certainly turned out to be no joke. In the decades that followed, casual corner stores began popping up well beyond its original Connecticut home. The shop initially focused on women's sportswear, but as the company expanded, the merchandise shifted too. Still, the focus always stayed on women's apparel in one way or another. By 2000, there were over 500 casual corner stores in operation, but just 5 years later, 55 years after its start, the company closed its doors after being sold to a liquidator. Number 69, Hechinger.
I got this $55 drill for 32 bucks. They say it's right. I say it's a fluke.
In 1919, Sidney L. Hechinger opened a hardware store in southwest Washington, D.C. During the 1920s, he focused exclusively on retail customers rather than selling to contractors and builders. He was doing this before it was even known as the home improvement industry. After being passed down through generations, Hechinger was a 69-store chain in 1987, and before the turn of the century, the number was well over 100, with the company operating in 21 states. But Home Depot and Lowe's proved to be insurmountable challengers. By the end of 1999, if you needed to buy a tool or lumber, for example, Hechinger was no longer a place you could go.
Hechinger, the low price keeps you coming back.
Number 68, Camelot Music.
Cassettes, laser video discs, movies.
Operating under both the Camelot Music and the Wall names, these mall-based stores carried vinyl records, cassette tapes, CDs, and more. By the late 90s, you could find them in 37 states. Camelot Music stores mainly operated in the Midwest and Southeast, while the Wall was more common in the Mid-Atlantic and Northeast. In 1998, there were 305 Camelot Music locations and 150 The Wall stores. Since both were run by the same company, Camelot Music, and it had the wider reach, that's the name that earns the spot on our list. Later that year, Transworld Entertainment bought it out, and that was that. Number 67, Merry-Go-Round. Knowing how to take advantage of fashion fads can result in meaningful financial gain for a clothing company, and that was the case for Merry-Go-Round, a company founded in Maryland that existed from 1968 to 1996. What started off as a boutique selling blue jeans became a major apparel chain with a whole lot more clothing options to offer. Some might remember their catchy 80s commercial remixing the hit rock anthem, Come On Feel the Noise. During the 90s, Merry-Go-Round had over 500 locations, mainly in malls, but after declaring bankruptcy in 1994, it was unable to turn things around. Number 66, Caldor.
We're everything you're looking for. We're your Caldor.
In 1951, Carl and Dorothy Bennett had a business idea: open a discount department store that was different from what people were used to. They would call it Caldor, a blend of their names. They focused on offering high-quality items for much less than the manufacturer's suggested list prices. They also emphasized well-informed salespeople and a customer-friendly refund policy. Clearly, the model worked. Caldor became a hit, growing to 100 stores by the time of Carl Bennett's retirement announcement in 1984. In the decade that followed, Caldor became the 5th largest discount chain in the US, but what some called the Bloomingdale's of discounting didn't make it to the year 2000.
It's a bad thing because they've shown some really justification to making a real prominent factor in this community. It's important that this community develops somewhat.
Number 65, Thom McAn.
Your jocks right down to your socks. And it's for you guys Thom McAn named their sports shoes. Jocks by Thom McAn.
While this shoe brand remained purchasable at multiple retailers in the 2000s, Thom McAn also had its own stores for decades beforehand. The brand's history dates back to 1922, making it one of the most historic, successful shoe retailers in US history. Before 1940 came, there were already 650-plus Thom McAn stores.
You can sail to every foreign port, but you'll never find a better pair of leather shoes for the money.
From the end of the 60s into the 80s, parent company Melville was the largest footwear retailer in the US. But the 80s was also when it started to phase out its Thom McAn outlets. That continued into the 90s, and by 1996, they were all gone.
So why watch shoe prices go up when it's just as easy to watch them come down? Men's and boys' casuals on sale at Thom McAn.
Number 64, Bradlees.
Different? Could you explain that? I certainly could, but just take a look.
And the difference?
How about a statement?
I'd love to state Bradlees has the best selection, quality, and name brand.
With over 100 stores in 7 northeastern states during the 90s, Bradlees was once a thriving discount department store with a wide selection: furniture, clothing, jewelry, electronics, bedding, a Costco-like snack stand, you name it, it had it all. For most of its history, Bradlees was owned by supermarket chain Stop & Shop, so you'd often see both in the same shopping plazas.
I'll need 5,000 more Mrs. Pyle robes. They're just $23.99 at Bradley's Big Sale Friday and Saturday.
Some of them even operated under the same roof prior to 1982. Talk about convenient. Unfortunately, Bradlees couldn't recover from 2 down years in the 90s. Some locations survived a little longer, but in 2001, it was all over.
When you walk into the store, the merchandise hits you right in the eye. It's so beautiful.
It's a nice place to shop.
Number 63, Zayre.
Take another look at Zayre, super savings everywhere. Take another look, take another look, take another look at Zayre.
While its legacy has been carried on through the TJX companies, Zayre is a thing of the past. The former discount store chain was around from 1956 to 1990. Ames department stores actually bought it in 1988, but kept the Zayre name alive in some locations. Not for long though. Zayre once had a strong presence across the eastern United States.
You can save in hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of ways at our 300 bestseller sale. We've taken 300 of the most popular items we carry, 300 of the things you want most.
Back in 1966, there were 92 stores. By the time of its sale in 1988, the number had ballooned to 392. Had Zayre's attempt to purchase Marshalls in the 70s been successful, maybe things would have played out differently.
We'd like to make Zayre your store.
They were all out, right?
Ta-da! We'd like to make Zayre your store.
I just made Zayre my store.
Number 62, Levitz Furniture.
Levitz must make room for new fall purchases, so they've put hundreds of items on sale at terrific price reductions.
Dating all the way back to 1910, Levitz Furniture came oh so close to reaching the century mark of being in business. Its expansion didn't actually come until the 1960s, when founder Richard Levitt's sons were at the helm. The company spread across the US, eventually becoming the nation's top independent furniture retailer.
Every little girl will love this twin-size sleigh bed at $188 or poster bed. She'll put her treasures in this 4-drawer chest, do homework at the student desk, and love this single dresser. Your choice at a low $188.
As recently as the 90s, the company held 67 warehouse showrooms and 51 satellite stores in 25 states. That decade is when the downfall began. Poor management, changing consumer habits, and the 2007 subprime mortgage crisis proved too much to overcome. By 2008, Levitz Furniture was no more.
You'll love it at Levitz.
Number 61, Service Merchandise.
Oster's 4-in-1 kitchen center and food processor attachment. Get it now. Get it at Service.
Getting its start as a 5 and dime store in 1934, Service Merchandise experienced a major shift in 1960. That's when it became a catalog showroom retailer. During the 70s and 80s, it was one of the leaders in that category, as it expanded across the nation. At Service Merchandise, you could find jewelry, toys, sporting goods, and electronics, but rising competition from growing chains in the 80s and 90s ended up being too much.
Quality, selection, and value are how we prove a commitment of service to our customers.
A refocus on jewelry, gifts, and home decor products didn't turn the tide, nor did the company's experimentation of drive-through windows. In 1999, Service Merchandise filed for bankruptcy, and in 2002, it was officially out of service.
The feeling says love. Create it with fine jewelry from Service Merchandise, America's leading jeweler.
Number 60, W.T. Grant. The days of 25-cent stores are way behind us. That's the kind of store W.T. Grant was all the way back in 1906. It then grew into a massive mass merchandising chain, with many of its stores setting up shop in downtowns across the country. Fast forward to the 1970s, and the number of Grant's locations grew to nearly 1,200. But the company's faulty store credit policy and inability to secure desirable locations over competitors ended up being major issues. In 1976, W.T. Grant declared bankruptcy, and that was that. The 70-year run was over. Number 59, Hecht.
Don't miss 50 to 60% savings on fall's first clearance. Plus, save even more when you use your entire purchase bonus coupons and when you earn $10 reward cards with every $50 sale or clearance purchase.
Born in Germany in 1830, Sam Hecht Jr. moved with his family to the United States in 1847. In 1857, he opened a used furniture store in Baltimore. It was a family business with humble beginnings that later grew into a department store chain in the Mid-Atlantic and southern United States. Its Washington, D.C. store was the first in the area to offer national brands.
Get a head start on all your holiday gift shopping with spectacular savings of up to 50%. Save on coats, sweaters, dresses, and sportswear for Mrs. Petites and women.
The Hecht business stayed in the family after Sam's passing in 1907, with his sons and then grandsons carrying on the legacy. Expansion took place in the 1950s through 1970s, and the chain stuck around until 2006, when it was absorbed by Macy's.
Share the fantasy. Chanel number 5.
At Hecht's.
Number 58. Eckerd.
I like Eckerd. This town and the people.
Manny, is my prescription ready yet?
Coming right up, Fred. Even the ones who didn't vote for me.
Once the second largest pharmacy chain in the United States, Eckerd used to be the go-to drugstore for countless people. It used to have over 2,800 stores across 23 states. Its history dates back to 1898, when the company was founded in Erie, Pennsylvania. After founders Joseph Milton Eckerd and Z. Tato moved to Wilmington, Delaware in the 1910s, they started to expand their business to other states, and things took off. Fast forward all the way to the 1970s and 80s, and that's when Eckerd was thriving most in terms of its national presence.
It takes a special kind of person to be an Eckerd pharmacist.
See you, Roy. Bye now.
Eckerd.
In 1996, JCPenney took over. CVS and Jean Coutu Group then bought Eckerd in 2004, and 3 years later, all remaining Eckerd stores became Rite Aid.
Working at Eckerd, I get a chance to help a lot of people every day. But it isn't every day you get a chance, to help change someone's life.
Number 57, Marshall Field's.
Marshall Field's Field Days sale for the whole family. Huge savings in every department.
Nearly 100 years before Macy's acquired Marshall Field's in 2005, Marshall Field's flagship store in Chicago was the largest department store in the world. Nowadays, it's listed as a National Historic Landmark, but Marshall Field's also made its presence felt elsewhere. Over the years, it expanded across the Midwest and even into the Pacific Northwest. All its stores may have been shut down by 2006, but Marshall Field's history of firsts can never be taken away. Whether it was creating the first bridal registry, introducing the concept of the personal shopper, or becoming the first department store in the U.S. to use escalators, Marshall Field's was a true pioneer.
Now's the time to shop and save during the fabulous Sony sale at Marshall Field's.
Number 56, AC Moore.
It has everything for every holiday, St. Patrick's Day, for Columbus Day, for Christmas, New Year's, Thanksgiving.
This arts and crafts retail chain was founded in New Jersey in 1985. In the years that followed, AC Moore expanded to 8 other northeastern states as well, becoming a favorite for many arts and crafts connoisseurs in the region. Along with having a wide selection, its discounts and comparatively low prices were a major pull for many.
Create more, share more, save more. AC Moore.
In late 2019, Michaels bought AC Moore's leases and distribution center, strengthening its already firm hold on the arts and crafts industry. At the time of the chain's closure announcement, it had 145 locations.
Park is skeptical the Birchwood location will turn into Michaels.
I don't think that they would do that here because Michaels is just down the street.
Number 55, HHGregg.
Hey, what's that, HH?
My ticket to must-see 3D at HHGregg.
Then you gotta see the Panasonic Viera 3D TV. Whoa!
While it still survives as an online retailer, HHGregg used to exist in physical form as an electronics and home appliance destination in 21 different states. Founded by Henry Harold and Fancy Gregg in 1955, HHGregg got its start as a small local Indiana store. It wasn't until the late 2000s and early 2010s when the company experienced significant expansion, becoming a proper multi-regional chain. But soon after, things fell apart.
In a statement, HHGregg's CEO Bob Reisbeck says, "We have continued to fight for the future of our company."
In March 2017, HHGregg declared bankruptcy. The following month, the company announced the closures of all remaining 220 stores.
We spotted a table for $29, a random mattress at 70% off, though hope you don't need the box spring.
Number 54, the Bon-Ton.
Meredith Evans came shopping with her mother Marilyn, and while happy to find a bargain,
I think it's really sad.
I'm very sad. I love the Bon-Ton.
Sad also for employees, including some who worked here almost all of their professional lives.
Before its store closures began, the Bon-Ton had 260 stores in 24 states. The department store chain was most prevalent in the Northeast. The history of the company goes back to 1898, when a father and son opened up a millinery and dry goods store in York, Pennsylvania. After adding a few locations elsewhere in the state and in New Jersey in the early 1900s, the company roared through the roaring 20s and onward.
For everything you need, try the Bon-Ton Anniversary Sale. Starts Thursday.
Your fashion store.
Fast forward to the 21st century, and the Bon Ton stores were popping up in the Midwest. Today, it still exists as an e-commerce retailer, but the physical stores are no more.
Some retail experts say losing Bon Ton could cripple the McKinley Mall in Blaisdell. This map of the mall tells the story. McKinley lost Macy's and Macy's Furniture Gallery last year.
Number 53, Montgomery Ward.
Hey, Jeff.
Andy, heard you and Karen caught another shoplifter?
You know, Jeff, shoplifters cost Montgomery Ward millions of dollars each year.
Yeah.
Over 50 years after starting off as a catalog mail order business, Montgomery Ward opened its first retail outlet store in Indiana. That happened in 1926. Just 3 years later, the company had expanded to 531 stores. How quickly things can change.
Ward's carries a cutting-edge selection of electronics that let you see it, hear it, record it, and play with it. All the brands to make it happen are here.
Monkey Wards, as some people called it, continued to thrive as a department store chain for decades, despite a few bumps along the way. But as the 20th century came to an end, it was time for the curtain call. A company restructuring, which included rebranding to the name Wards, was not enough. And on December 28, 2000, we got word that the remaining 250 retail outlets would close.
Montgomery Ward lowest prices of the season sale, plus instant discounts.
Number 52, Joann.
I'm sad to see them go because they did serve a population that we just don't have the ability to serve.
This place was arts and crafts galore, particularly when it came to everything fabrics, sewing, and knitting. Joann was the place to go in the US. At the time of its second bankruptcy declaration in less than a year, coming in January 2025, Joann was operating about 800 stores in all but one state. It was clear it was hanging on by a thread, and by the end of May 2025, all remaining locations were shut down. Michaels acquired the company's intellectual property and private labels, and while it added Joann products to its inventory, many fabric fanatics and designers miss how things used to be.
It was just 2 weeks ago the popular fabrics and craft retailer announced its plan to close 500 stores across the country, 33 of them in Michigan. But now the company announcing every store is closing as they're going out of business.
Number 51. Forever 21.
I mostly like their style and that their clothes were affordable.
But affordability wasn't enough to keep the retailer competitive amidst online market pressures.
Nothing lasts forever, not even Forever 21. The fashion retailer mainly targeted teenage girls and young women. At its peak, Forever 21 had 800 stores globally, but in 2018, it began downsizing due to things like tough competition, the growth of e-commerce, expensive retail locations, and labor practice controversies.
I mean, fast fashion is always going to fail. I think it's high time that businesses and fashion brands are held accountable for their impact on the environment.
Still, after the company filed for bankruptcy in 2019, it stuck around to a degree. Despite shutting down locations across Europe and Asia, it remained a popular fashion store in many US malls, but after filing for bankruptcy again in 2025, it was announced that the remaining 354 US stores will be closed for good. While Forever 21 survives in a few other countries, its days in the nation it was founded are numbered.
They would carry very trendy styles that you would see in designer clothing stores that were priced much higher. So this allowed a very fashion-conscious consumer to buy these types of apparel.
Number 50, Rexall. These stores began with a revolutionary concept for 1903. Independent pharmacists could use their collective market strength to purchase supplies and resell them under a single store name. The modernization of the 20th century made it easier to deliver health and wellness products to more North Americans than ever before. A half-century later, Rexall was a household name with thousands of locations. The model was great, but ultimately proved to be no match for huge chain pharmacy companies. Rexall stores either closed up shop or rebranded almost overnight. Today, Rexall is a moderately sized Canadian pharmacy chain. Number 49, Esprit. Susie and Doug Tompkins were just two young San Francisco hippies, hawking simple, stylish clothes out of the back of their WV van. Their environmentally conscious brand struck a chord in 1968. 20 years later, Esprit had become a global fashion powerhouse, known for its flashy ads and its social responsibility.
You can't really expect blacks to relate to and use a white history, because it is a white history.
Esprit grew into a worldwide brand thanks to the explosion of mall culture. Just as video killed the radio star, the 90s and 2000s killed the mall. Sales fell through the floor and stores went dark. Today, Esprit is a small chain, operating thanks to international markets and online sales.
So the brand is actually still around. It's been around since 1968. What happened is that it left the North American market about 25 years ago, and it kind of re-entered, but really it turned into a European brand over the last 20 years.
Number 48, TG&Y. Tomlinson, Goslin, and Young were three Oklahoma boys with bright dreams when they founded TG&Y in 1935. The brand sold itself to small-town America by marketing their budget-friendly merchandise.
To our 84-page holiday shopper's guide for the lowest prices of the season.
It spent years as a rural American staple, soon growing through bigger towns and suburbs. There were once more than 900 TG&Ys across the United States. That all came to an end in the 1980s. Their 1986 acquisition didn't help matters. TG&Y ultimately shuttered its doors one by one until their brand faded into retail history.
This came to us as a shock because we didn't think we were going to close.
Number 47, Gimbels. Adam Gimbel was a mild-mannered resident of Vincennes, Indiana, who decided to open a modest dry goods store in 1842. The store grew, converting into a Milwaukee department store in 1887.
My dad's smart. He got it at Gimbel's for $6.99. That's half price. I love my dad, and my dad loves Gimbel's.
They opened a Philadelphia location 7 years later. The store became a Philly staple, founding the Gimbel's Thanksgiving Day Parade. Gimbel's only grew from there, and by 1930, it was the biggest department store chain on Earth. It was even the setting for the movie Miracle on 34th Street.
You see? I told you he'd get me one.
In 1973, a mega corporation gobbled Gimbel's up and closed all of its stores by 1986. Their iconic locations became prime real estate for other department stores. Number 46, Kinney Shoes. The small upstate town of Waverly, New York, was the site of the first Kinney Shoes back in 1894. Named after its founders, Kinney Shoes was a go-to spot for relatively inexpensive quality shoes.
Kinney. We only sell the right shoe.
The concept was a hit, expanding across America to become a well-known supplier of footwear. Known for its wide selection and competitive prices, Kinney Shoes thrived throughout the 20th century. Its sub-brand, Foot Locker, was born in 1974. Though popular, the company that acquired Kinney decided to shutter all the stores by 1998, moving forward with the Foot Locker as a new, spin-off company.
Find the right shoe for you. We're America's most complete athletic footwear store.
Number 45, Mervyn's. Mervyn G. Morris was the entrepreneur who, in 1949, founded Mervyn's in San Lorenzo, California. He hopped on the post-war department store gravy train, offering affordable, quality merchandise.
Open. Hi.
By targeting middle-class families, Mervyn's expanded like wildfire across the American West. Unfortunately, big box retailers proved to be Mervyn's big bad wolf. Coupled with ownership changes and strategic missteps, the brand started to falter. Their lack of diversity meant it was ultimately impossible to compete with their competitors. In 2008, Mervyn's filed for bankruptcy and closed all its stores, marking the end of a once prominent retail chain.
149 stores are being liquidated. Yes, the retailer had been in decline, but its death was anything but certain.
Number 44, Delia's. The year 1990 represented the apex of mall culture in America. A few years later, Stephen Kahn and Christopher Eckerd saw a way around the mall, direct-to-consumer marketing. Delia's marketed to teenage girls with its quirky mail-order catalogs. The catalogs themselves grew into a cultural touchstone for a subset of American teens. Their eyes on the future, Delia's was also an early adopter of e-commerce, acquiring Girl.com in 1997. In this case, they were too early and got swallowed up in the dot-com burst of 2000. They limped on until 2014 as an acquired brand, at which time the company filed for bankruptcy. 4 years later, online fashion store Dolls Kill licensed Delia's as a new sub-brand. Number 43, the Disney Store. In 1987, Disney realized it was late to the mall culture game. Aimed at capitalizing on the beloved Disney brand, the Disney Store became a destination for exclusive products. The concept thrived, leading to a rapid expansion across the US and internationally, with over 700 stores worldwide. The rising popularity of Disney animated films provided a constant churn of new properties to exploit. Unfortunately, like many mall-based stores, online shopping killed their brick-and-mortar business. Despite efforts to innovate and revamp the in-store experience, Disney announced the closure of most physical locations in 2021. Disney now sells its branded products online and through bigger retailers like Target. Number 42, Dress Barn. Rosalind Jaffe was a trailblazer for women in business. In just a few years, she went from living in a one-bedroom Manhattan apartment with 3 roommates to owning a company.
I am digging this style.
Jaffe went to Stamford, Connecticut in 1962 to start Dress Barn, a women's discount fashion retailer. Dress Barn expanded rapidly, nearly reaching 800 stores nationwide. It focused on customer service and understanding the needs of middle-class women. With the rise of e-commerce and changing consumer preferences, the business struggled to adapt to the shifting landscape. Online retailers and fast fashion brands eventually eroded its market share. Despite efforts to modernize, Dress Barn's parent company announced its closure in 2019.
Dress Barn is closing its 650 stores nationwide. The women's fashion store, which has a location in Pismo Beach, says it will eventually close all of its stores, but did not give an exact timeline.
A year later, it found new life as an online-only retailer. Number 41, 99-cents only stores. This ultra-low-cost retailer was founded in 1982 by Dave Gold in Los Angeles, California. Gold believed in a somewhat unique vision of a store. He would offer high-quality items at a low fixed price.
People are amazed at the deals the 99-cents only stores is delivering this Easter. But really, it's just another day at the 99.
The concept was a hit, and 99-cents only stores spread rapidly. However, competition was the store's Achilles heel. Other discount outlets cannibalized the market. Due to rising costs, the store also had to raise prices, undercutting its core brand. The year Dave Gold died, 2013, the chain was sold to a private equity firm. After a decade of getting gutted by venture capitalists, inflation was the nail in the brand's coffin in 2024.
Well, you can call it the end of an era. All 99-cents only stores are closing.
Number 40, Tweeter.
Tweeter for times like these.
Tweeter, aka Tweeter Etc., aka Tweeter Home Entertainment, was a New England consumer electronics chain. Founded in Boston by Sandy and Michael Bloomberg in 1972, the chain grew and grew throughout New England. In the 1990s, Tweeter started a campaign of national expansion by buying out chains in other markets. They expanded to Chicago, Florida, and Atlanta through acquisitions of other electronic franchises. By the end of its time, Tweeter specialized in flat-screen televisions.
I'll look into this Tweeter thing, but no promises.
In the spring of 2007, Tweeter had around 100 stores nationwide. Even before the Great Recession hit, half of those stores had closed. By the time the waves of the recession receded, Tweeter went bankrupt. Number 39, Stephen Barry's. Stephen Shore and Barry Prever were college students at the University of Pennsylvania in 1985. They recognized that university bookstores and gift stores sold goods with an absurd markup. They saw an opportunity, founding a chain targeting college students with bargain basement prices. Stephen Barry's was a retail clothing store that focused on casual clothes, accessorizing, and footwear. They expanded to college campuses and malls across America, eventually reaching 276 stores in 39 states. Stephen Barry's seemed destined to conquer, earning such praise as Hot Retailer of the Year in 2005 and Marketer of the Year in 2007. Before the decade was out, the chain went belly up. Like so many others, Stephen Barry's was taken out by the Great Recession.
Goodbye, recession. Hello, depression.
Number 38, Club Libby Lu. Some stores make the decision early on that they aren't selling goods, but an experience. That was the logic behind the short-lived Club Libby Lu franchise. Named after the childhood imaginary friend of founder Mary Drolet, Club Libby Lu served girls from ages 4 to 12. It provided girls and young tweens with makeovers, dress-up parties, stuffed animals, and custom cosmetics.
You can be like Hannah Montana with the new on-tour makeover at Club Libby Lu. Perform with your bling and sequin tank, microphone, and more.
At its peak, Club Libby Lu was a subsidiary of Saks and had almost 100 locations nationwide. By November 2008, the miserable state of the economy forced Saks to shutter Club Libby Lu's doors. Number 37, Crazy Eddie. Crazy Eddie Antar was a Brooklyn-based businessman who opened up an electronics retail chain with his brother Sam. The store and their Crazy Eddie commercials were a New York City staple in the 1980s.
This is it! It's Crazy Eddie's greatest clearance sale ever! Crazy Eddie's soul-lashing prices on specially marked items in his enormous inventory. Stereo equipment, video equipment, color TVs, car stereos, CVs, telephone equipment, disco equipment, and professional products.
The chain was widely successful, with just one wrinkle from the very beginning. Eddie and Sam were crooks. They committed an absolutely gobsmacking amount of fraud, and their books were a complete sham.
Well, initially he was just stealing and garden variety tax evasion, but then he came up with a better idea. You see, by taking his own money, stealing it and putting it back on his books.
It was raining cash.
By 1983, it became difficult for Eddie to hide his criminality, so he took the company public. Eddie pumped and dumped a ton of stock, lost the business, and then went to prison.
The initial investigation into the Crazy Eddie fraud, the SEC thought that we deliberately understated our numbers to take over the company on the cheap.
The chain closed in 1989, though in the late 90s and 2000s, the Antars attempted an online comeback. It died for good in 2012. Number 36, Loehmann's. Loehmann's is a sad example of how even the American dream doesn't necessarily last forever.
That is a great dress.
Thank you very much.
Where did you get that dress?
Loehmann's. Guess how much?
What?
$75.
No way.
No lie. Yes, ma'am.
Frida Loehmann was a young woman when her husband's haberdashery failed. She took a job as a clothes buyer in New York. Frida started to buy overstocked items from top designers and sold them at a bargain out of her home. Eventually, they opened the first Loehmann's in 1921. The store was incredibly successful and went public after her death. 37 years later, by 1999, Loehmann's had around 100 locations in 17 states. Over the next 15 years, the chain underwent a series of bankruptcies and acquisitions. By 2014, all brick-and-mortar locations were closed, and by 2018, its online store shut down.
Loehmann's. Real designers, really discounted.
Number 35, Walden Books.
Walden Books? Well, that's a major chain, huh?
Hey, Jerry, I'm going to Walden Books. Ah, get out! Get out!
After leaving Simon & Schuster in 1933, sales manager Lawrence Hoyt opened a small rental library in Connecticut with his partner Melvin T. Kafka. They named their business the Walden Book Company after Henry David Thoreau's famous book.
Walden. I read this in 7th grade. I would have called it On Boring Pond.
Their goal was to help an immiserated populace psychologically deal with the Great Depression. They had hundreds of locations by 1948. The post-World War II era killed the rental library business, so the company successfully pivoted to book sales.
When America looks for the right Christmas gift, America finds it at Walden Books.
Walden Books entered the great wheel of capitalism, acquiring smaller companies and getting bought and sold by larger ones. It was eventually spun off by Kmart and became a part of Borders. All Walden Books closed when Borders was killed by Amazon in 2011. Number 34, Gadzooks. In this golden age of online retail, it can be hard to remember that the shopping mall was once the center of American commerce. In the 1980s and 90s, malls were both shopping and cultural centers.
Let's go to the mall today.
There were retail brands that did not exist outside of a mall. If you were a teen at a mall in Texas during that time, there's a good chance you shopped at Gadzooks. The store initially focused on t-shirts before expanding into a full-blown mini department store for teens. By 1995, Gadzooks went public, and by 2000 there were over 300 stores and malls across America. To fight off competitors, Gadzooks dropped its menwear and catered exclusively to teen women. That pivot killed the brand completely 5 years later.
Gadzooks.
Number 33, Papyrus.
Papyrus? Are you kidding me? There's no place for that in a professional office setting.
Margaret Sherman opened the first Papyrus store as a retail branch of her fine paper company. With barely $1,000 in a dream, Sherman created a business that would grow into an empire of over 450 stores throughout the US and Canada. Papyrus sold greeting cards and luxury stationery throughout the country, expanding with a 2009 purchase of American Greeting Stores. Unfortunately, they misread the market and slowly but surely contracted to only 260 stores by 2020. In January, 2 months before the COVID lockdowns would send shockwaves throughout the economy, Papyrus stores were all shuttered and liquidated. Number 32, Virgin Megastore. Mega billionaire Richard Branson started his mogul career at the age of 16 with a self-published magazine, Student. In 1970, he pivoted to a mail-order record business and opened his first Virgin Records in 1972. The brand boomed quickly, and Branson opened his first megastore in London by 1979.
Some days I'm afraid I'll go berserk. Throw the country A through K rack out on the street and go work on a Virgin Megastore and never come back.
Virgin Megastore's expanded product selection included consumer electronics, books, and sometimes fashion. Branson ruled the British market, and Virgin Megastores opened around the world. Perhaps predicting a shift in retail, Branson sold or licensed the brand to a number of companies in the early 2000s. Today, Virgin Megastores only exist in the Middle East and North Africa. All other locations have closed down. Number 31, Suncoast Motion Picture Company.
There are over 10,000 great movie gifts at Suncoast, like the comedy hit Beverly Hills Cop 3, 4 Weddings and a Funeral starring Hugh Grant and Andy McDowell, and Jim Carrey in The Mask.
Thanks to the invention of VHS tapes, and to a lesser extent Betamax, Hollywood discovered a profitable secondary market for movies. Tens of thousands of video rental stores and nationwide chains popped up all over the US and became a booming business. One of those retailers was the Suncoast Motion Picture Company.
What do you do anyway? Thought you went to MIT.
I work at Suncoast Video.
Wow. Congratulations.
A spin-off of Suncoast Records, Suncoast Motion Picture Company sold VHS tapes, collectibles, records, cassette tapes, and CDs. The retailer fell victim to chains of acquisitions and sales, eventually getting liquidated. As of May 2023, only 4 Suncoast Motion Picture Company franchises exist in the United States. Number 30, Filene's. William Filene was an American businessman who founded an incredibly successful department store in Boston in 1881. Filene's is so important to the city's identity, the original store was designated a city landmark. Its sister store, Filene's Basement, saw similar success.
Also, nobody knows what Filene's Basement is.
That's a shame. You definitely paid too much for that coat.
In 1929, Filene's joined with other competitors to create the holding company, Federated Department Stores. In the back half of the 20th century, Filene's gained a foothold in New England and New York shopping malls. Filene's was sold off to May Department Stores in 1988. However, Federated acquired May in 2005 and folded Filene's into Macy's.
I guess we could hit Filene's Basement, see if there's anything in the bargain bin.
Never! You now only shop upstairs at Filene's, where they have fancy windows and you pay full price.
Number 29, Discovery Channel Store. Large companies love to find ways to leverage their brand power and enter new markets. In the 1990s, a number of media corporations tried to synergize their media brand with a retail store business to sell branded content. Both Disney and Warner Brothers made the attempt but failed, thanks to large market forces. If those brands, each with a massive library of intellectual property, couldn't make it happen, it's no surprise that the Discovery Channel store was an abysmal failure.
Why? Why? Discovery Channel! Discovery Channel, why?
The company tried to create a retail market to sell Discovery Channel merchandise. Unfortunately, the small retail chain of less than 20 locations lasted less than a dozen years before going under. As of 2023, even Discovery's online store has closed.
There's nothing like the gift of discovery.
Number 28, Zany Brainy. David Schlesinger was an entrepreneur frustrated by a lack of brick-and-mortar stores for educational toys. He started the retail chain Zany Brainy in 1991 to bridge that gap. Zany Brainy's products specialized in developmental education through play. They sold puzzles, books, audio tapes and CDs, toy trains, and learning software. The individual stores also offered in-store workshops, concerts, and book signings. Though the retailer was eventually purchased by FAO Schwarz, it never really found a long-term market. Zany Brainy filed for bankruptcy protection in 2001. Less than 2 years later, all its locations shut down. Number 27, Modell's.
Memories begin now. You gotta go to Moe's.
After 140 years in business, Modell's Sporting Goods learned the hard way that not everyone has to go back to Moe's. Morris A. Modell, a Jewish immigrant from Hungary, founded the sporting goods store in Manhattan in 1889. Over the next century, his descendants grew the business into a profitable chain, operating over 150 stores in New York, New Jersey, and Pennsylvania. By 2014, however, rival Dick's Sporting Goods had sued the company. They accused CEO Mitchell Modell of wearing a disguise to learn Dick's retail secrets. By mid-2020, every Modell's store had closed, attempting to rebrand as an online-only business.
If it has anything to do with baseball, it's probably on sale at Modell's. Finish with the mid sign already. Come on, the mid.
Number 26, Movie Gallery. Movie Gallery was founded in 1985 in the middle of the ascension of home video. By the mid-1990s, the company launched an aggressive campaign of expansion. They added new franchises, bought out the competition, and built new stores. In 2005, they merged with competitor Hollywood Video to become the second largest video chain in North America. They had reached 4,700 stores in the US and Canada with more than $2.5 billion in revenue. But it all went downhill from there.
We're going downhill, and I can't reach the brake!
The rise of video on demand and streaming services destroyed Movie Gallery and Hollywood Video, just as it had with Blockbuster. By 2010, even the contents of the corporate headquarters were auctioned off. Number 25, Pier 1. The ripple effects of major global catastrophes can spread into every aspect of life. The Great Depression, Great Recession, and the pandemic all caused global shifts in consumer habits. In an adapt-or-die world, even large and powerful retailers fall victim to global trends.
Tell that to the folks at Pier 1. In establishment, I'm no longer allowed inside.
Pier 1 had risen to national prominence in the furniture and home decoration space. By January 2020, the business was struggling, and they announced the closure of almost half of their locations. The pandemic was the final nail in Pier 1's bespoke coffin. After all the stores shut for good, Retail E-commerce Ventures, REV, acquired the company. REV has a penchant for buying dying brands and pivoting to e-commerce. Unfortunately, in spring 2023, REV announced that it too may go bankrupt. Number 24, Kmart. Inspired by a meeting with the founder of Woolworths, businessman HHGregg founded his first big box department store in 1899. The first Kmart branded store opened in 1962 in Michigan. The next 30 years saw almost exponential growth. By 1990, it was the second largest retailer in America, behind only Sears, and unfortunately struggled throughout the 90s and early 2000s, collapsing and merging with Sears.
We own Kmart now.
No.
Both brands suffered further decline over the next decade, until Kmart underwent its second bankruptcy and sold off its stores. By 2019, virtually all Kmart locations were shuttered. As of April 2022, there were only 9 Kmarts left in the world.
Tell him, Ray. Kmart sucks.
Number 23, Lord & Taylor. Lord & Taylor was the oldest retailer in America, having been founded in 1824 when John Quincy Adams was president. For almost 2 centuries, Lord & Taylor rose to become synonymous with luxury branded clothing. 6 different parent companies saw Lord & Taylor through 2 world wars, the Great Depression and the Great Recession. Unfortunately, the company could not survive the impact of the COVID-19 pandemic. Retail locations were closed in March of 2020 and reopened by July, but the damage had already been done, and Lord & Taylor filed for bankruptcy in August.
I declare bankruptcy!
In 2022, the brand relaunched under new management as an e-commerce luxury retailer. Number 22, Bed Bath & Beyond. This retailer went through a long, slow, painful demise. The company shifted from a small retail chain of local stores to a megastore chain in 1985. It reached over $1 billion in sales in 1999, and there were over 1,100 locations by 2011.
Let's see what we got on hot tips, all right? Whoa. The new bath mats are in.
Declining profits led to a big shakeup in 2019. Investment firms purged the CEO from his perch and restructured the board of directors. They accused the company of nepotism and poor management. The pandemic proved to be a fatal blow for Bed Bath & Beyond, pulling the trigger on the starter gun for store closures. After limping along for several years, the company announced the full closure of all stores by July 2023. Number 21, The Limited. The Limited was an Ohio-based clothing brand that became a mall staple in the 1980s and 90s. At the height of its economic might, The Limited acquired popular brands like Victoria's Secret, Bath & Body Works, and Abercrombie & Fitch. A sub-brand, The Limited 2, was spun off in 1987, catering to young and tween girls.
Limited 2. Everything a girl could ever want for back to school.
Both store chains did well with hundreds of stores around the country. The Limited 2 brand didn't even make it a decade, merging with Justice in 1996 and going defunct in 2009. Its parent company didn't fare much better. The bulk of the company was sold to a private equity firm in 2007. By 2017, all physical locations went out of business.
Number 20, Sports Authority. Like many retail outlets, Sports Authority was a casualty of the mid-21st century. Founded in 1928 by Nathan Gart, a series of mergers and acquisitions allowed Gart Sports to become the place for sporting goods in the United States. But by 2010, the tired retailer found it difficult to compete with the likes of Walmart and Amazon and began falling behind in its financials. By 2016, the company chose to close down and liquefy its assets.
The clock has run out for Sports Authority. The sporting goods retailer plans to begin going out of business sales as soon as this Friday and will close all 463 stores by the end of August.
Its brand name and intellectual property ultimately ended up in the hands of its competitor, Dick's Sporting Goods.
Sports Authority has gone bust, as you know, and
When they went bust, they did something that's so common now with failing retailers. They sold off all their dossiers on people who ever shopped at Sports Authority.
Number 19, Wet Seal. If the 2010s taught business anything, it's that the shape of retail shopping is changing. Founded as Lorne's in 1962, this fashion retailer was incorporated as Wet Seal in 1990. They also sold their clothing and accessories under the Arden B and Blink brands. By 2015, they were faced with heavy competition, forcing them to close several locations.
Orange County retailer Wet Seal is drowning in debt, and now employees accuse the company of leaving them high and dry. Hundreds of Wet Seal stores were suddenly shut down today, leaving thousands of workers jobless.
Store windows could be seen with protest signs from employees over communication from managers and compensation. Wet Seal closed all stores in January 2017. Another victim of the so-called retail apocalypse.
This is just another sign of tough times for retailers. The Limited, Sears, and Macy's have also announced closings this year.
Number 18, Tower Records. Long before the days of Spotify and Apple Music, people had to go into a store and purchase their music.
Tower Records came to San Francisco when the city was at the center of the music world. It was opened in 1968 by Russ Solomon, who wanted to expand his family's Sacramento music store.
Enter Tower Records. In their heyday, they were one of the largest retailers of music around the world. Based in the U.S., they spread to over a dozen countries worldwide. The movie Empire Records was even inspired by Carol Hakinen's time as an employee there.
What you doing, man? I'm exercising my veto, man. It's only 9 o'clock. I mean, you sure you want to do that? Mark, listening to this crap is guaranteed to make you sterile. Okay, maybe I want to be sterile.
Yet, with all that success, bad business decisions and the launch of the digital music era killed off this giant in 2006.
A changing music business, the advent of being able to get music through your computer on sites like Napster and iTunes, doomed the record store along with Tower's overly aggressive expansion.
The brand did resurface as a website in 2020 and continues to sell music and merchandise online. Number 17, CompUSA. When you hear the term big box store, you may think of IKEA, Walmart, or even Costco. One such player in this space was the now defunct computer store, CompUSA.
All across America, computers are changing people's lives, and one company is changing the way people buy them, CompUSA. With the brands you want, all at guaranteed low prices.
A purveyor of technology products, they were very similar to competitors like, say, Best Buy. And therein lies part of the problem.
CompUSA employees were told of the sale at a meeting this morning. The company had been losing money against competitors like Best Buy.
Their corporate strategies were out of touch, and they were destroyed by the competition. They were eventually sold to Systemax in 2008, and their last CompUSA stores were rebranded as Tiger Direct, which also phased out of retail in 2015.
Tiger Direct is a top 25 online retailer with over 200,000 products and retail store locations.
Number 16. KB Toys. It was 1946 when brothers Harry and Joseph Kaufman opened their own candy store, aptly named Kaufman Brothers.
I'm a kid and you're my toy store. You're easy to like, cause you're just right. You're my friend, KB.
That quickly turned into a wholesale toy company in 1948 and a shopping mall staple in 1973. In the 1990s, a series of additional acquisitions brought the company hundreds of new store locations, totaling 1,324 by 1999.
In creating the new KBKids.com, we went to the experts. They know what's hot. Now you can too. They know exactly what's right for them.
But a combination of both a poorly timed dividend deal in 2002 and a drop in sales the following year sealed the company's fate. Neither a bankruptcy filing or a restructuring of the company was enough to keep it afloat.
The company had been looking to liquidate more than 100 stores across the country. The closing was a disappointment to this dad who's been coming to the store over the last 2 decades.
This is one of the better ones, so kind of sad to see it go.
They were eventually sold to their biggest competitor, Toys R Us, in 2009. Number 15. Warner Brothers Studio Store. In 1991, Warner Brothers entered the retail space, selling the likes of Looney Tunes and DC comic books merchandise. Eventually opening 130 stores across the country, the chain thrived for a short time.
It's been an incredible ride so far. The studio stores have been one of the fastest and most successful retail store ventures in history. Successful beyond anyone's most optimistic projections, including mine.
However, the AOL-Time Warner merger was completed in 2001, and the newly formed company had new plans.
AOL's acquisition of Time Warner cost over $160 billion, making it one of the largest mergers in history. At the time, it seemed like a really good idea.
With sales in decline and retail shops floundering in general, the newly formed conglomerate saw the writing on the wall. It took them less than a year to put the nail in the coffin on this chain when their last store closed on New Year's Eve, 2001.
Well, that's all, folks. That's my line.
Number 14, Payless Shoes. Much like many of the other stores on our list, Payless started with humble beginnings, only to fall victim to our ever-changing times.
But you can get these same shoes at Payless for $19.99 or lower with our epic holiday deals. Why pay more when you can pay less?
Formed in 1956 by cousins Louis and Shell Pozes, Payless became known for its unique line of shoes called Pro Wings, as well as a plethora of other footwear-related products.
Now all $9.99 sandal and canvas shoes are just $8.99. 2 pair, $7.99 each. 3 or more, $6.99 each. At the Payless Shoe Source Buy More, Pay Less sale.
But in the midst of the retail shift in the 2010s, Payless filed for bankruptcy twice, eventually shutting down all operations in North America.
Payless closed all of its remaining North American stores, more than 2,000 of them, in 2019 after filing for Chapter 11 for a second time. The company emerged from bankruptcy in January 2020.
They do continue to operate stores in other parts of the world and online. Number 13, Ames. Department stores have always been common in big cities, but when Ames opened up in 1958, they went after the retail market in much smaller populated areas.
It's coming to every Ames discount department store to make sure these advertised sale prices are as low as you'll find anywhere.
This led to a boom in business and expansion, which reached up to 327 stores. It did not, however, come without a cost. Poor decisions around consumer credit resulted in a bankruptcy filing in 1990. The company survived and by 1993 was turning a profit again.
Oh, I saved $11.
$20.99. Wow.
$10.50. I saved $41.
But the success didn't last. By the turn of the century, Ames had begun closing many of its stores and filed a second bankruptcy in late 2001, which saw the end of this store.
This comes 20 years after the discount chain went out of business, so that'll be something else to see.
Number 12, Teavana. No matter how large a corporation gets, you have to remember that they all started out small. Such was the case for Andrew T. Mack and his wife, who formed Teavana in 1997 with a little tea house in a mall. The brand became so successful that it only took 15 years for Starbucks to take notice and acquire them to the tune of $620 million.
This is the first tea bar that Starbucks, a coffee company, is opening. What should we read from this move for Starbucks?
Well, people don't realize we've been in the tea business for the last 40 years.
The name persisted for 5 more years before Starbucks pulled the plug on all 379 Teavana shops.
Starbucks is shutting down hundreds of its Teavana branded stores. That includes all 4 Colorado locations.
Their entry into the tea market has since dropped considerably, as Starbucks now only sells a very limited number of Teavana products.
Introducing Teavana Passion Tango Pineapple Sparkling Tea Juice, made only at Starbucks.
Number 11. Sharper Image. Similar to Sky Mall and Hammacher Schlemmer, Sharper Image was a catalog business that thrived on high-tech gadgets and niche products.
Every month, 3 million people receive this catalog in the mail, and thousands more shop in 48 retail stores around the country. Today, it's unusual to meet someone who hasn't heard of us.
Distinguishing itself from the other catalog companies, they expanded into retail, opening 187 stores throughout malls and airports across the United States.
I have to get this. I have to get this.
We're here for Jess and Marie.
I know. We'll find them something. There's great stuff here.
Oddly enough, it was an air purifier product that ultimately helped kill the company. After Consumer Reports gave fail ratings to their Ionic Breeze products, Sharper Image sued.
The Ionic Breeze Silent Air Purifier with Ozone Guard that can actually convert smog and ozone into oxygen. cleaning and circulating your air with no fans, no filters, silently.
However, they were themselves sued by customers for misrepresentation of their product. As the blame went back and forth, upper management changed and consumer interest tapered off. The company went bankrupt in 2008. Number 10. Circuit City.
Welcome to Circuit City, where service is state-of-the-art.
Founded in 1949 under the name Ward's Company, Circuit City was one of the most popular consumer electronics stores in the United States. During their peak, the chain boasted more than 550 stores across the country, offering plenty of electronic goods and services. They even had a chance to buy out the fledgling Best Buy operation in 1988, but declined when Circuit City's CEO thought they could just put them out of business. Well, that didn't work out in the long run. When 2007 rolled around, wages were being cut, locations were being closed, and management turnover was high.
Electronic retailer Circuit City has announced it's unplugging more than 150 stores. In Maryland alone, 3 locations are going out of business.
By 2009, the company pulled the plug, and the days of Circuit City were over. Number 9. A&P. The Great Atlantic and Pacific Tea Company existed from 1859 to 2015. Known to most customers simply as A&P, there was a time when they were a huge player in the grocery business.
We built a brand new feeling at A&P.
From a few retail shops selling tea and coffee in New York, the company blossomed after being acquired by George Huntington Hartford. From there, over much time, it became a full-on grocery store, which would eventually have roughly 16,000 locations.
A&P pledges guaranteed value. We guarantee the quality of all our meat and deli products.
Produce too, double your money back.
We also guarantee the lowest advertised prices.
However, by the 1970s, the stores had become conceptually stale and plagued by bad customer service. The chain did manage to have a bit of a comeback in the early aughts, but was short-lived, and it finally went under in 2015.
Many customers have shopped here for years, and they feel emotional.
Everybody angry.
Everybody's angry?
Yeah, very bad. We got no store over here, no place.
Number 8, F.W. Woolworth Company.
It's May Value Days at Woolworth, with savings for everyone.
Did you know that Woolworths may have been the original inspiration for the dollar store? Founded by Frank Winfield Woolworth in 1879, it opened as Woolworth's Great 5-Cent Store, which sold everything for a nickel or two. Although that operation didn't last, the subsequent store became successful.
I'm the new chairman of Woolworth, and I believe in 1981 we're going to offer you better value than we've ever done before.
Frank brought in his brother, Charles Sumner Woolworth, and the two began a journey that would see their ideas about retail continue to be used today. Woolworths was highly successful until the 1980s, when stiff competition forced them to shift their priorities to their sporting goods division.
Competition is the name of the game at Foot Locker, with the biggest selection of big names ever assembled. So whether your game is serious or social, we'll find the right shoe for you.
In 2001, they became known as Foot Locker and are still selling sporting goods today. A few dozen Woolworth stores do still continue to exist in Mexico under different ownership. Number 7. Sam Goody.
Goody, Goody, Sam Goody got it. Goody, Goody, Sam Goody got it. Sam Goody got it.
Much like many other music retailers, Sam Goody became the victim of the digital revolution in music. Founded in 1951 as a small music shop in New York City, it eventually merged with Musicland, which helped expand the brand. At its peak, the Sam Goody branded stores expanded to 800 locations and brought in several $1 billion worth of revenue. It had become almost synonymous with music retail, which held it above water for a long time. But after struggling through a handful of acquisitions and changes to its business model, the stores began to close. By 2012, most of the stores were gone or simply rebranded as FYE. Number 6. Borders.
Hi, I'm Jason Schwartzman. I'm Wes Anderson. We are at the flagship Borders in Ann Arbor, Michigan.
Ever since Gutenberg revolutionized printing so long ago, books have been in demand. This human desire to learn or enjoy stories is what eventually spawned the likes of giant bookstore chains like Borders. Operating for nearly 40 years, this bookstore saw its peak with over 500 US-based stores, and even more via other brands and franchising. By the time 2007 rolled along, however, the company had begun to struggle to remain in business.
Well, I hope this store can stay.
because I frequent this store and I want to support them.
Several attempts were made to keep it going, but by September of 2011, the chain had come to an end, with its stores closing and rival chain Barnes & Noble buying its trademark.
Getting the news today, it's upsetting. We tried. We gave it our best.
Number 5. Fry's Electronics.
Remember, your best buys are always at Fry's. Guaranteed.
The sale of Fry's Supermarkets chain eventually spawned a completely new type of electronics store back in 1985. The intent was to make shopping for electronics a similar experience to going for groceries. Whether it was circuit boards, software, or any other kind of electronic device, Fry's was the place to get it.
Fry's was famous for its unusual exteriors and motifs, like the Mayan-themed store here in San Jose.
It was actually one of the few places you could buy raw computer parts off the shelf to assemble your PC on your own. The stores ballooned in popularity, and even the aforementioned Circuit City didn't offer the same kinds of fare.
It's a shame to see it go away. I mean, I grew up with, going to the store a lot to, buy everything from my TVs to video games, and, fortunately I'm gonna have to find somewhere else to buy all that stuff now.
But after decades of sometimes controversial business practices and squeezed by the COVID pandemic in 2020 and long-standing market pressures, all their stores ceased operations in February 2021.
All 31 Fry's stores across 9 states closed effective immediately.
Are you a customer?
Not any longer, it would seem.
Number 4, linens and things. If there is one common thread connecting many of these now defunct businesses, it's that for many of them, a combination of acquisitions and management changes seems to be their undoing. Formed in 1975, this home textile and housewares big box retailer grew considerably by the time it opened its 55th store in 1983.
Linens and Things, keeping America's homes beautiful through quality, selection, and 20 to 40% off regular prices every day.
Linens and Things, Linens and Things.
It was acquired and then eventually spun off as its own entity again in 1996, but then reacquired by Apollo Global Management in 2006. The company then truly began to find itself in financial difficulty.
But the nail in the coffin came with the credit crisis. Possible buyers couldn't get credit to purchase the company, and now 371 stores are set to close by the end of the year.
A series of losses combined with a decline of sales eventually forced the company to pull the plug on their stores by 2008, going online exclusively. Number 3, Radio Shack.
So much more than just a store. The best in America, Radio Shack. Nobody compares to Radio Shack.
The humble beginnings of Radio Shack began back in 1921. The company focused its sales strategy on radio and electronics hobbyists. For decades, this gave them a lucrative market to fill, and interest in electronics eventually grew even further with the new computer and video game age. It was also Radio Shack that produced the famous TRS-80, one of the first widely available home computers.
Let your children discover tomorrow's technology today. The TRS-80, the biggest name in little computers. Only at Radio Shack.
But much like many other retailers, their popularity declined with the rise of online shopping and fewer hobbyists to buy their wares.
Though perhaps more damaging has been the retailer's failure to attract younger shoppers.
By 2017, the company had gone bankrupt and was no longer the giant retailer it once was, with a smattering of stores remaining under different ownership and eventually the brand being scooped up to attempt viability online.
What?
The 80s called. They want their store back.
Number 2, Toys R Us. Who doesn't remember wanting to be a Toys R Us kid? From toys to video games to books to bikes, this was a chain that had almost everything a child could possibly want.
From bikes to trains to video games, it's the biggest toy store there is. Gee whiz!
But like many retailers over the last few decades, they struggled to keep up with the times and competition with the likes of mass market stores and online shopping.
It was unprepared for what no one saw coming, the dot-com era and the rise of the big box store.
In 2017, the chain filed for bankruptcy and began liquidating their assets. By the middle of 2018, they had closed most of their U.S. stores, with the last 2 closing in 2021.
I feel like kids are gonna miss out on the best store ever. I still love the store.
However, you can still find Toys R Us stores across Canada and Asia. Before we continue, be sure to subscribe to our channel and ring the bell to get notified about our latest videos. You have the option to be notified for occasional videos or all of them. If you're on your phone, make sure you go into Settings and switch on your notifications. Number 1. Blockbuster. One of the biggest industries to emerge from the creation of the VCR was the home movie rental business.
Fast checkout, 24-hour quick drop return, open late every night. Well, the perfect video store
Welcome to Blockbuster Video.
is popping up all over the country. There's one near you.
At the inception of the movie business decades earlier, no one had ever expected people to want to watch their movies at home instead of at theaters. With more than 30,000 stores open globally at its commercial peak, if you wanted to rent a new release, odds are you went to Blockbuster Video.
Oh, plus they have all kinds of video games for the kids.
Video rentals became ingrained in our culture, and Blockbuster profited mightily. But as streaming services and mail-in DVD options became available over the years, the days of Be Kind, Rewind were over, and Blockbuster famously ceased to be.
Its various partnerships folded, and stores worldwide were rapidly plunged into administration.
We're closing early.
Its 9,000-strong chain had been reduced to one single franchise in Bend, Oregon.
Which of these stores do you miss the most? Let us know in the comments below.
They were too busy making money in their video stores to imagine a time when people would no longer want or need them.